Good evening. Happy Monday. Hope you all had a great 4th of July weekend. It is Monday, July 7th, and it's all over the news, the big, beautiful bill. So why do we care about this big, beautiful bill in tonight's live stream? Well, because we're going to talk about the impacts on housing. There are several things in that bill that's going to have a big impact, some positive, I would say a lot of it's positive, on the housing market. So we're going to talk about that. I'm also going to bring up, for those of you that live in New Jersey, I'm sure you saw it in the news about the mansion tax. So we all know we have a mansion tax. Any sales over $1 million, the buyers typically pay that mansion tax, which is 1%. Well, now that tax is being switched over to the sellers. It's going to be the seller's responsibility. So I am going to bring that up tonight too, explain to you what's going on there. A lot of people are not happy about it. So anyway, if this is your first time here, my name is Jackie Baker. This is your live local, this is your live dose of real estate reality. I am an agent here in Northern New Jersey. We talk about the housing market, real estate, all the things. So a couple of housekeeping rules. Number one, I have a poll. If you didn't see it, please vote. There's a poll on the top of the chat. It said, which is asking, are you more confident or less confident in the housing market compared to last year? Your choices are you more confident? Are you less confident? About the same? Or did you stop paying attention? Seriously, answer the poll. I want to know. I'm going to review the results at the end. Also, I want to hear if you closed on a home, if you're under contract, your offer's accepted. Let me know, because we're all talking about, everybody's talking about how crazy this housing market is, how hard it is, but people are still buying houses. And I want to hear about it because we need to celebrate the wins. All right. So put it in the chat. I want to know. I want to hear about it. Also, if you see in the little banner there, if you have a question, please put QQQ in front of your question. So my beautiful producer behind the scenes can pull your question up much easier instead of having to sift through. Just makes life a lot easier. Okay. So let's dive into this. So how is this big, beautiful bill going to be impacting housing? Well, let me tell you how. Okay. Now, this information I pulled off of the mortgage. It was something. Hold on one second, guys. Where are you? Here we go. Forgive me. National Mortgage Professional. All right. So this is, here we go. To make this a little bigger for you guys. Okay. All right. National Mortgage Professional. This is, it points out all the key things about what's in this bill pertaining to housing. Okay. The first thing we're going to talk about are the key mortgage and housing provisions. This is some pretty cool stuff here. Oh, and by the way, please, please, please be nice in the chat. I know this is a hot topic. It's a sensitive one. I understand that. This is not a place to be arguing with one another. If any of you start, not being nice to each other in my chat, you will be kicked out. I hate to be harsh, but I'm good with having conversations. I love engaging in conversations. But if you're not going to be nice, you're going to be bashing one another. I'm not tolerating that. Okay, so there we go. I said it. Okay, let's get into this. Now, key mortgage and housing provisions. Permanent mortgage insurance deduction. Borrowers can now permanently deduct mortgage insurance premiums, meaning PMI, FHA, MIP, VA funding fees, and USDA guarantee fees, but that's subject to income limits. Why it matters. This reduces the effective cost of low down payment loans. Mortgage professionals can position this as a long-term savings opportunity for FHA, VA, conventional borrowers who put less than 20% down. So as you know, if you put less than 20% down, you are subject to the private mortgage insurance, which is another fee that you have to pay on top of your mortgage payment. So now what this is doing, you can deduct that mortgage insurance, which is really cool. I think that's a great thing that they put in there. Next, we have the permanent $750,000 cap on mortgage interest deduction. The bill makes permanent the mortgage interest deduction cap at $750,000 of acquisition debt. Why it matters. There's no expansion, but also no shrinkage. In high-cost markets, borrowers can plan around this known limit when purchasing or refinancing. So this is important too. So you can deduct your mortgage interest up to $750,000, which is really cool. Okay. Expansion of the low-income housing tax credit. The law permanently increases 9% of the LIHTC allocations by 12.5% and reduces the bond financing requirement of 4% LIHTCs from 50 to 25%. Why it matters. More LIHTC supply means more affordable rental housing, which supports housing stability and may ease entry-level homebuyer competition. It also presents opportunities for originators working in multifamily or with community lenders. So this one, I can't really speak to this one this much. I didn't do that much research on it, but I will tell you, time will tell how that one's going to work out as far as bringing in affordable rentals. We'll see. Okay. No new federal down payment or homebuyer assistance. The law contains no first-time homebuyer tax credit or first-generation down payment grant. Several housing program decisions are included, such as U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's HUD Green and Resilient Retrofit Program. Why it matters. The federal down payment assistance is not coming from this bill. Continue to rely on state housing finance agencies, local grants, and employer-assisted programs to help clients overcome down payment hurdles. Okay. So that's what everybody does anyway. When you go for these homebuyer assistance programs, it's at the state or even down to the town level. Now this one, for those of you who live in New York, New Jersey, California, sign me up. SALT deduction cap it's only temporarily raised. The legislation raises the state and local tax SALT deduction cap from $10,000 to $40,000 per household from 2025 to 2029, with a phase down starting for incomes over $500,000. Homeowners in high tax states like New York, New Jersey, California may get larger deductions, making home ownership more attractive for upper middle income borrowers. Let me tell you, for those of us here in Jersey, and if you're watching from Jersey, this is a good one because we pay a lot in taxes. So that's going to help a lot. Okay. Real estate investor tax wins. For those of you who are into investing, this is for you. The new law includes multiple provisions that directly benefit real estate investors and landlords, important for brokers and loan officers working with investor clients. Permanent 20% deduction for qualified business income. Section 199A's QBI deduction is made permanent. Most rental real estate qualifies as a trade or business under IRS guidance. Why it matters? Real estate investors can continue deducting 20% of net rental income, lowering effective tax rates and improving investment yields. So that's a good one for the investors. Business interest deduction for real properties stays intact. The bill preserved the current law deductibility of interest expense on real property trades or businesses. This protects investors using leverage, especially commercial or DSCR loans, from losing write-offs on mortgage interest, important in an era of high rates. Section 10, okay, thank you. Sorry, Section 1031, like-kind exchanges preserved. No changes were made to the like-kind exchange rule under Section 1031 for real estate. Why it matters. Investors still defer capital gains when selling and reinvesting in new properties, critical for scaling portfolios and cash flow preservation. This is a good one. If you're not familiar with 1031 exchange, investors will do this. So if they will have a rental property and they want to sell it and buy something else, buy something even bigger, you have a period of time. Once you sell that, you do the 1031 exchange. That the funds from the sale of that property goes into a special account until you're ready to buy the next property. Therefore, you're deferring paying tax on the sale of that property that you just sold, which is really cool. So this is a good thing that they preserve this. Gain on sale rollover provision maintained. The bill maintains the ability to roll over gains on property sales into qualified opportunity zones and other structures. This gives investors continued flexibility in deferring taxes and redeploying capital strategically. $5 trillion federal debt ceiling increase. While not a direct real estate provision, this provision of the law avoids default and offers market stability. Why it matters, it helps maintain confidence in capital markets and ensures continued U.S. Treasury-backed liquidity, vital for investor financing, especially in CRE and DCR. So this stuff, all right, listen, I know a lot of people are not happy about the debt ceiling. I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into any politics about that tonight. So this is their position from the National Mortgage Professional about how this is a positive by keeping markets stable. And when markets are stable, the interest rates aren't going to go crazy, right? So they view this as a positive. So, okay, this is just all information for mortgage lenders. So anyway, those are the key things that could impact housing. And I wanted to talk about that tonight. And if you guys have any comments about it, please be nice. Put it in the chat. I want to hear about it. Maria, yes, you are so welcome. I am too. I am too. Extra salt today. Yes, I'll take plenty of salt. This is great. The salt deduction thing is huge. My husband was like so relieved because the past few years we were only able to deduct $10,000 on our property taxes, and we pay more than that. So yes. So this is really good for those of us that live in those high tax states. Maria, is Zillow the only website that you consider reliable? Maria, you might be new here. I'm not a fan. I'm not a huge fan of Zillow. Listen, you got to be careful with Zillow. Yeah, is it a good place to look for homes? It's easy to use, easy to read, user-friendly, all of that stuff. But sometimes the data on there, it's not always accurate, especially those estimates. If you see, now I'm noticing now when they are keeping up to date, like when a home goes pending. But here in New Jersey, this is the issue we have here in New Jersey. When we go into attorney review, so the attorney review period is it's before we go under contract. Problem with Zillow is Zillow doesn't pick up the attorney review. It doesn't show that on Zillow. So when clients send me a Zillow listing and they're like, oh, I love this house, I look on MLS and say, oh, they already accepted an offer. It's an attorney review. It's kind of disappointing. So you have to be careful. Is it reliable for all the information? Not really, but it's, like I said, it's good. It's user-friendly if you want to look for homes, but just always defer to your real estate agent. You want proper rate information about that home. Hello, Clark. How are you? Thank you for being here. All right. What else we got there, Miss Jen? Hello, Charlton. Do you do VA approved? Do you do VA approved new housing pre-qualified? Have I helped VA people with a VA loan? Yes, I have. I'm not really sure I understand your question, Charlton, but yes, I've helped people with VA loans. I worked a ton of overtime, so I'm stoked for the BBB. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. No tax on that, which is good for you. Grim BK, I keep getting outbid on multifamilies. Everyone's overpaying. Shake my head. Well, listen, I don't know where you are. Multifamilies are super, so desirable right now. It's here in Jersey. They're hard to come by, and they're not cheap. So I'm sorry to hear that, but it's just they're just not. There's not enough of them. It's just one of those low inventory things. John says I used a Redfin website. Redfin is good. Listen. These third-party sites, Redfin, Realtor.com, Zillow, listen, they're easy for people to look for homes. Honestly, you know what website I like is Homes.com. I've been using that a lot lately for my own personal stuff. If I'm happen to be looking, I'm curious to see what homes are selling for in other states. I've been using Homes.com. That's just me. That's what I prefer. Hi, John Doe. Thanks for being here. You're in New York looking in Jersey. Welcome to Jersey. Welcome to Jersey. That's how we are. So Zillow is super convenient though, but most I like for reliable info is Realtor. Yeah. I think Realtor is a little bit better. So I do want to mention, we had a client, they sent us stuff. I think it was on Zillow. Zillow is now adding all these little features. And one of them was a flood map risk or flood zone risk, a wind risk. And we're like, where the heck are they getting this information from? How did they determine that? Your real estate agent is the one that's going to have all of the access through MLS through what do you call it? Through the public records, right? For the tax records, all of that stuff. You can't rely on Zillow for that. And you may recall a couple weeks ago, I shared that Zillow has a new feature where they'll have a listing and you scroll down, it'll say, you want to make an offer? Here are some suggested strategies. And it'll recommend, hey, if you want a 90% chance of getting this home, you should offer this amount. 75% chance, you'll if you offer this amount. If you offer this amount, you get a 50% chance. So it's basically telling you what to offer or suggesting what to offer. You got to listen, be careful with that, because if you click on that, it's going to direct you to one of their premier agents, who are the premier agents? They are real estate agents who pay thousands of dollars a month to get leads from Zillow, buyer leads like you, to contact them. And then they're going to help you buy the house. And then Zillow is going to pay them a fee. So just that's my thing with Zillow. Loco Souls, welcome back. My wife and I are putting an offer for a house 40 minutes west of Nutley and Wayne, which we actually got to negotiate the price instead of bidding. Offer got accepted and going into attorney review. Congratulations. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing more of this in Jersey. Houses are sitting, prices are coming down, and people are getting a little bit more leverage now. Mother and sister-in-laws definitely our choice. Arguing to live 40 minutes away, not understanding how hard it is. Have any advice for my wife since she's suffering through massive guilt? Living 40 minutes away from your in-laws? So listen, it's not that far. It's really not that far. I understand that's probably stressful for your wife, but you got to worry about, I'm not here like Dr. Laura here. I don't want to give you like personal advice, but listen, don't feel guilty about it. You're building your life here. You're going to be having a beautiful home, and you'll get used to making that commute. You'll visit. Grim says, I use Redfin mostly, but none are always up to date. It varies by the listing. The sellers don't always update everything. I'd always ask your agent to check out the listings you like. Yes, absolutely. But keep in mind, whatever's in the multiple listing service, that is fed directly to those third-party sites. So whatever the listing agent puts information in MLS, it's the same thing that you see on those third parties. Zillow has a climate information for years from the FEMA logs. They have fire, flood, wind, heat, and air risk. I'm looking at Zillow homes in Zillow now. Thank you, TM. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, I just don't rely on that being so accurate. Always talk to a real estate agent. Also, there's estimates. Dear God, don't rely on his estimates. I never got the chance to thank you and David from Omaha for all the videos. It gave me the courage to finally buy a house this past November. Oh my God. Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. That makes me so happy. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thoughts on water tanks? Are you talking like those big water tanks that you see like into town if you live near one? I know at the end of my street, you can see there's a water tank not far from my house. I don't think they're that big of a deal, honestly. High tension wires, that's a problem. You know, that could be a big problem. But water tanks, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Do you know if the PMI and SALT are only deductible up until a certain amount? For example, in 2024, things like mortgage interest, medical expenses, charity were deductible only if they total $29K. They didn't specify. Hold on one second. Let me go back and look at that again. No. Where are you? It doesn't say the limits. It said in order for the permanent mortgage insurance deduction, it's subject to income limits. So if you make a certain income, I guess it varies based on that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have specific numbers on that one. Joy in knitting. I love your handle. It's great. Hi, Coral. Thanks for being here. Hello, I'm from Boston and a prospective home buyer, millennial. I'm scared of getting priced out of my city, and a lot of folks my age are worried about Manhattanification of Boston. Everything for rent, nothing for sale. Prices astronomical. How does taxation situation in high tax cities change things for future buyers? Um, yeah, that's really unfortunate. And yeah, New York's the same thing. And listen, my son's been living up in Massachusetts since he graduated college. He's right outside of Boston, so I get it. I know how expensive. When he was in college, his apartment not cheap, not cheap. The taxation situation in high tax cities change things for future buyers. That listen, I'm not a tax expert to be honest with you. But if there's a lot of investors that are buying in these cities and you're just renting them out, I mean, that's really challenging for you. You really can't take advantage of that. Um, I'm not really sure, Coral. I'm sorry. Um, all right. There are other apps on the market, such as Reventure, that gather all the markers and statistics from various websites, good for forecasting. Yes, thank you. I'm sure Zillow is getting that information from the same place that the realtors are getting. Yes, Angel Eyes, that's exactly it. We're the ones putting the information into multiple listings. So when I put a listing in multiple, when I update a listing, when you see it on Zillow, I wrote that. That came from me. All that information you see in there came from me. Like all the description, the pictures, I did that. So Clark says now Rocket has acquired Redfin on top of Mr. Cooper, and they'll probably try to funnel all their services through each other. It'll be interesting. Yes, Clark, that is true. Because Zillow has been trying, Redfin and even Zillow, they're trying to get into the mortgage business. Why I don't know, but it's all about the money. You speak about Zillow often, especially when you're saying not to look at his estimates. So I wasn't sure of what websites you consider reliable. Yeah, you're welcome. You are welcome. Yeah, just don't trust that estimate. Scouting near Cooperstown, New York for purchase in December. I'm seeing minus 15, minus 20, 30 on a good number of homes. Finally, my timing may be right. Bender, do me a favor. Keep me posted. Let me know when that happens. I want to know. I want to know how you did. But yeah, it's happening, guys. The prices are coming down. Someday defect. How are you? Driving around the last few weeks here in Colorado, homes on the market seem to be exploding. Then I heard that Colorado is like #1 for increase in inventory to pre-COVID levels. Was that last week? No. I thought I mentioned it was recently. One of the articles that I talked about, they were saying that I think parts of Colorado you're definitely seeing more inventory there. So purpose. Zillow has a price. As soon as I reduce the price, Zillow reduces its estimates the same percent no matter what price you put in. Totally ridiculous. I use ChatGPT for comps, etc. now. Really helpful. Really? Oh, I never thought about that. About using ChatGPT. I'm going to try that. I just want to see if that works. About to close this week in Warren, New Jersey. Highly competitive. It's been a long road to get to this point. Congratulations. Warren's a great. Thank you, Jen. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Congratulations. It's not that you can't deduct SALT mortgage interest unless they exceed $29K. It's that it's not advantageous unless your deductions exceed the standard deduction. Okay, thank you for that. I'm not an accountant. That's my husband's job. I don't know. It's not my thing. Are sellers less likely to accept FHA over conventional? If I really like a house, does conventional give me that much more of an advantage? In a competitive market, unfortunately, yes. If you have a conventional versus FHA. Why? This is what drives me crazy. Sellers get nervous because FHA, when they go to do the appraisal, if they find certain things wrong with the condition of the home, then they have to go back and ask the seller to make those repairs before closing. Okay, so say if it's an older home and there's paint peeling off the windows, if a rail, like the handrail on the steps, are loose or broken or whatever, they want you, the bank wants the seller has to make those repairs prior to closing. So that's why, and especially in competitive markets, it's a little challenging when you have an FHA loan. Now, FHA, you have to pay, if you're putting 3.5% down, Anything under 20%, you will have that private mortgage insurance for the life of the loan. But so just keep that in mind. Although in this bill now, they're talking about how, you'll be able to deduct that, which is a great thing. But just know that. But yeah, unfortunately, it is true in competitive markets. It'll be it's a little challenging. American Constellation, I like that. My 25-year-old son just closed on a really nice home here in Clearwater, Florida. He grew up here, and so did I. Congratulations, 25 and buying a house. God bless him. Good for him. Thank you for sharing. Heather Renee, late to the live. Did you go over your thoughts on the bill yet? I hope you had a good fourth. Thank you. I did have a good fourth. So I went over. If you want to go back and watch on the replay, I shared the article regarding the important, the key things regarding the mortgages on the big beautiful bill. So my thoughts on it, a lot of these I think are good. It's supposed to help with affordability, but we shall see. We shall see how that all works out. Debatable. I know I shared this news already. I'm happy I wanted to share it live. Sold my home last Monday. I listed it for $375, sold it for $405 with a $20,000 seller's credit deal. Owned the house for 2 years, got $90,000. Awesome job. Good for you. Congratulations. Love that. That is so good. Yeah, I've been using ChatGPT a lot lately while looking for a property. It can tell you what a home is worth and bring back accurate info on what you should bid depending on your approval. Really? Okay, but I'm going to tell you something. Be careful with that too. It's almost like relying on Zestimates. Be very careful with that because, listen, AI is great and all, but it's not always 100% accurate. Get another pair of eyes on that. Selling our old house and closing July 21st. I got a formal addendum that the buyer is not asking for any repairs. That's a huge win. Congrats. I love it. Do you know if any risk when buying a house with free gas leasing, mineral rights issues in general, or cell tower leasing on a property? I've never experienced that, Maria, to be honest with you. I can't answer that. I've never dealt with that before. That's a new one. Even cell tower leasing on a property. I don't know. I would imagine there'd be some risk to that, but talking to an attorney, Maria, would that's what I would do. I would speak with an attorney about that and see what the risk is for you. Are buyers under contract able to back out if they see the market shift in their favor, renegotiate? Well, not really. I mean, once you sign that contract, if you find a reason, say if you have the home inspection and there are problems with the house and you really don't, you don't want to deal with it, seller is not going to address it, then that would be a reason to back out. But to back out to say, yeah, you know what, I don't like the prices are coming down, I'm going to back out, I'm going to go find something else. It's really not a good reason. So just saying. 28 got my pre-approval today for a multi-unit in North Jersey. The war begins. Good luck with that. And congrats on getting pre-approved. And I wish you all the luck in the world. It's a jungle out there. It really is. Lisa, just submitted my agent referral request. Thank you in advance. Oh my God. Thank you, Lisa. I will get back to you. I appreciate it. Really appreciated it. As a New Jerseyan, do you think Delaware is a good choice for retirement? I'm also a first-time home buyer. It's so funny. You all know I'm very familiar with Delaware as I own property down there. So we had a home inspection today, and the seller is actually relocating to Southern Delaware, right near where I have a home. And believe it or not, he's not even retiring. He's got young kids, and they're all packing up the family and they're moving down there. And it is a good choice for retirement. Number one, the property taxes are probably one of the cheapest around. Also, there's no income tax. The only thing is, if you have a pension, I don't know how that works as far as the taxes go down there. I think you have to pay a certain amount of taxes on your pension. Like, say if you're in New York here, I don't think you pay taxes on your pension, but if you go to Delaware, you have to pay some. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but anyway. Oh, My producer just said she thinks it's up to, if you have a pension, you pay up to $12,000 in taxes on your pension in Delaware. She would know because she's going to be retiring down there, retiring from a civil service job in New York. So, yeah, I do think it's a good choice. It's getting crowded down there. I'll tell you that. They're doing a lot of building. A lot of people are moving down there. Are you going to make a separate video on how BBB affects the housing market? I probably will. My next housing market video, because I always like to do, every month I do just a regular standalone housing market. I probably will. So stay tuned. Hello, Roy. Are you loving your new place and you're not missing us here in the Northeast? I don't blame you. Good for you. I'm so happy that you are happy in your new home in Arizona. Thanks for being here, Roy. Ben, this all sounds really good. When will it all go into effect? It's like going into effect like now, like I think immediately. So it's a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff for homeowners and future homeowners. Okay, so Jen, are we okay. All right. Perfect timing. Let's talk about the New Jersey mansion tax. Oh my God, I'm not excited about this. Believe me, I'm not happy about this, but I want to share with everybody, anybody that's from New Jersey, you have to know about this. If you have a home, it sells for $1 million or more. This is like ridiculous. Okay. Here it is. Now I got to make this bigger because, God forbid New Jersey realtors makes this easy to see. Okay. This is the Realty transfer fee information and resources. Okay. For the fiscal year 2026, the New Jersey budget calls for increases to the supplemental fee to the Realty transfer fee known as the graduated percent fee. Why do we have to call it's like we call it this, then it becomes this, and then we're going to call it this fee. It's like, come on, just call it. It's the mansion tax, for the love of God. All right. So the mansion tax, as I said in the beginning, if you have a home, it sells for $1 million. That was responsibility of the buyer. The buyer had to pay 1% of the sale price. So if it's $1 million, you're paying $10,000 at closing. This new bill, this budget change it's putting it on the home seller. So now, not only are you paying your real estate transfer tax to New Jersey, now the seller has to pay the mansion tax of the 1%. And look what else they did. Now, in the past, anything $1 million or higher, it was always 1%. Now, anything $2 million, just over $2 million, it's 2% tax that the seller has to pay. $2.5 million, it's 2.5% tax. $3 million, 3%. You see where this is going. For all contracts fully executed on or after July 10th, where the home has a sales purchase price over $1 million, the 1% fee paid by the home buyer is eliminated. Instead, a graduated percent fee is imposed on the seller, calculated as a tiered percentage based on the sales price. For all contracts fully executed prior to July 10th, where the deed is recorded on or before November 15th, any graduated percent fees paid in excess of 1% will be refunded to the seller. That part I'm still trying to get a little better understanding, but apparently on November 15th, you can apply for a refund. If you sold your house and you paid in excess of that fee, you can apply for that. So, yeah. Okay. So the fee increases take effect starting July 10th, starting this week. So anybody who's selling a house right now, if you have an executed contract and say you just signed to execute a contract like last week, you're the seller, it's over $1 million, you're paying that. You're paying the mansion tax. Does the graduated percent fee, where'd you go? Where did it go? Okay, hold on. Where'd you go? Okay, never mind. I don't know where that went. God, I hate this website. Okay, what is this tax being used for? The money is set to go to the general fund. Okay. And I've heard some rumors about why that they're doing this, because apparently it's political. It's political. And people who are in office right now, remain nameless, is trying to build a surplus so he can leave office with a surplus in the general fund. So anyway, okay, is the graduated percent fee separate from the realty transfer fee? Yes. The realty transfer fee has been in effect since 1968. The graduated percent fee, formerly known as the mansion tax or supplemental fee to the realty transfer fee, was implemented in 2004 for residential and 2006 for commercial. And until fiscal year 2026, budget was passed, was paid for by the buyer. So yes, again, as I said before, you're paying the realty transfer fee, which is about, I think it's around 1%, and then the mansion tax. Don't stop the supplemental fee crap. It's the mansion tax. Okay. Now, how does a seller apply for a refund? The Division of Taxation has directed those qualified for refunds to use this form. Treasury has indicated that refunds typically take 4 to 6 weeks to process, but could take longer depending on the volume when they receive it. And what is the graduated percent tax? The graduated percent tax is the name of the New Jersey the state of New Jersey Department of Treasury has given the former mansion tax. Okay, so this is what they did. They took the mansion tax, gave it a new name to, make it look pretty. It doesn't make it look pretty. It's pretty ugly in my opinion. And honestly, what I think is going to happen, I think this thing is going to get repealed. I think what they did here, and for like what I've been hearing, it's more of a political move to build the general fund, to have a surplus, to make certain people look good when they leave office. But okay, I'll shut up. But anyway, that's that. TM says U.S. housing is the biggest asset on the planet. Yes, Fed won't let it crash. No, I don't. Yeah, listen, I think I agree with you there. I don't think we're going to go through that again. I don't think we're going to see a crash like what we had a long time ago. For being so responsive, Jacqueline. Thank you, Maria. Love you too. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Everybody hit the like, 368 and only 82. Subscribe and share. Thank you for always, forever, for life. I love you. You're awesome. Had trouble with the survey answer. For buyers, more confident. I'm hoping to be a buyer soon. For sellers, not so much. Okay. Lisa, I'll get back to you. I will definitely get back to you. See what I can do for you. Does that mean the seller needs to increase the listing price by 1% now that it falls on the seller to pay the excess? That's a great question. I have theories about this. What I was concerned about, if you have a listing, your house is worth over $1 million, and now the seller has to pay this, do you think they're going to want to pay the buyer agent commission for that buyer? Probably not, because now they got to pay another whatever, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 in tax. Maybe not. But yeah, I don't know if they would get away with increasing the listing price. I know that I can't say. Hey, Cheryl, how are you? I have doubts about whether the mansion tax will work as planned. If I'm the seller, I'll try to raise the asking price to cover the tax. Buyers still end up paying. You rocked it. Thank you, Cheryl. Listen, I totally see that. I get that. Yep. I could totally see that. But yeah, you're right. I see your point. I totally see your point. Roy says, I only had to pay like half of the transfer fee. I think it's because I was over 62 years old. Yeah, I think you're right, Roy. I think for seniors, it's a different rate. So, Curtis, if you had to choose one, condo or co-op, which one would you choose? I would choose condo. Co-ops are nice. Co-ops are very affordable. So for a first timer, it's great, but you have to get approved by the co-op board when you're buying one of these things, and that could take a while. And I mean, I've heard sometimes it could take like a month before you could even close. Like it'd take a month, even like longer than the normal time it would take to close, because the board has to approve you. You have to go through this interview process, all that stuff. Great. Now you buy it, you own it, you're living in it. What's going to happen when you go to sell? Now the next buyer has to go through that process. So there's a very limited pool of buyers for co-ops. They're not that popular for that reason. So Stacy, Thank you so much for the super chat. Hello from Kansas City. I'm excited for the return of 100% bonus depreciation. I have renovations to do this year. That'll help people in all income classes. Thank you for your politics-free information. Stacy, you were so welcome, and thank you so much for your generous super chat. That means a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you being here. Sir Robin the Chicken. Okay. What is frustrating is in the Seattle area, fixer-uppers still run around $700K for starters, but I keep working on getting my ducks in a row for home purchase. Now if they would stop roaming away. Listen, all I can tell you is you just got to keep saving. I know how frustrating that is. Look, a lot of people are paying $1 million for the starter homes. I mean, who would have thought we'd be here, but here we are. So I know, I totally get that. I totally get that. So Jen, are we done here? We got the, yeah, 700K. All right, you guys. Let me do a checkup in the poll here. Hold on 1 second. How we doing? So far we got 250 votes. And yeah, so far it's looking less confident. People are less confident in the market. So let me know. Go in the chat. Let me know what you're all thinking about that. I'm really curious to know. What else did we want to bring up? Here we go. Sorry, guys. A little slow tonight. Oh, Roy says, when folks ask to do what you do in Arizona, I tell them as little as, what do you do in Arizona? I tell them as little as possible. Then I go to the pool. Roy, you're just living a good life, aren't you? I'm a little jealous. Not going to lie. Anyway, so let me go back. Just want to see. Let me see here. Okay. All right. I just brought this back up again. I just want to make sure, because I was just thinking, I want to look at that, the permanent mortgage insurance deduction. Borrowers can permanently deduct mortgage insurance premiums subject to income limits. Reduces the effective cost of low down payment loan. So they don't go into what if there's a limit on that amount of how much they can deduct. So yeah, we don't have more information on that. But listen, the accountants better get ready for this stuff. Yeah. All right, let me see. All right, we back to any more comments? Roy, one reason the co-op costs less than an identical condo is that the crop corporation itself has a mortgage on the property. You buy shares in the co-op and you get a share of the debt. Thank you, Roy. Thank you for explaining that. What do you think about the Fed cutting rates? Will it actually cause mortgage rates to rise if they do? I love this. Thank you for bringing it up. So the federal fund rate, that is not directly tied to mortgage interest rates. Mortgage interest rates are tied to the 10-year Treasury yield. Now, people will say, and here's the other thing too, and I keep seeing these articles about like these politicians are calling for, Jerome Powell needs to resign. He needs to step down. He's killing the housing market. I'm like, guys, that Fed fund rate does not correlate to mortgage interest rates. Is it a sign that the economy is improving? Yeah, but here's the thing too. Think about it. Typically, when the economy is not doing so good and unemployment is higher, mortgage rates typically come down. So I know, make it make sense, but that's how it works. This is what my mortgage partners have told me. This is how it works. But that 10-year Treasury yield, it's affected by the markets, right? It's based on the confidence level in the markets. And if the 10-year Treasury yield is at, whatever, I think if that goes up, then the mortgage rates, I think, go down. Or is it the opposite? But anyway, they're impacted by the 10-year Treasury yield. So you have to remember that. The Fed fund rate, no. It has nothing really, it's not directly tied to that. Christina, thanks for being here. I was thinking about buying a Toms River next year, but just heard the 13% tax increase to balance the school budget. Have you heard this? Yes, the Toms River School District is filing for bankruptcy. I just heard that today too. Now, that's a discussion for a whole other live stream, which I wouldn't do that here, but apparently there's a lot of frustration with the formula that they use at the state level as far as the funding that they give to different school districts, and apparently Tom's River has not gotten the proper amount of funding, so now they're filing for bankruptcy, and now they gotta raise their taxes. I know. It's a shame, and Tom's River is huge. They have, what, like 4 high schools there? It's a huge town. So, it's a shame. Amy just put in an offer on land for construction loan, land site work, new MH home in town. I'm worried about raising cost of construction and the appraisal. We got a great rate, but the rest is scary. You know what, Amy? It's a little nerve-wracking, but you know what? You'll get through it. It'll all work out. You will be fine. It's all good. When I start to negotiate my buyer's fee, what should I use to determine the percentage price, experience, etc.? Also, can I have a clause that they need to have the seller pay a percentage? Yeah, I mean, you could do whatever you want on those buyer agency agreements. So I will tell you, agents with experience, and I was just talking to a referral partner down south, and her fee is 3%. Why? She has 30 some odd years of experience. She's a big negotiator. She sells a lot of houses, and that's what she deems that's what she's worth. And, good for her. You know what? You're hiring a professional. This is what they feel they're worth. That's what they're going to charge. As far as putting that in the contract, like you want that you need to have the seller pay a percentage, not 100%. I'm reading this. I'm not 100% sure that you can do that. But when you go to write your offer, you just write that in the contract. When you're making your offer on the house, just say the fee is 3%, and you'll pay 1.5%, and you ask the seller to pay 1.5%. You'll put that in the contract for the sale. Hope that helps. Hello, John Winters. Thank you for the super chat. I'm so glad you're able to catch me from California. Welcome. Thank you. Clark, I have a friend that lives in Toms River. How would that affect their property taxes? Their town taxes are going to go up. They're proposing a 13% increase on their taxes. It's ridiculous. When selling, can you specify that you will pay part of the buyer commission depending on the offer? I don't want to be locked into a certain percentage. Yeah, you can. You can do that. You can totally do that. So what I'm seeing, Leslie, what a lot of not a lot here in Jersey, but I heard in other states what they're doing. They're saying that the seller will consider paying the buyer commission, and then they wait to see for the offer to come in. So if it's a good offer, and if it's decent enough, and say, hey, I want you to pay my buyer commission, whatever, 2.5%, then they may consider that. So you don't have to, if you're listing, you don't have to specify that you're going to pay a certain amount to the buyer commission, the buyer agent. You don't have to do that. Just, you can say it's negotiable. DJ, in the New Jersey market, would you recommend an underwritten pre-approval when submitting an offer? Absolutely. Yep. Every day, twice on Sunday. If you can do that underwritten pre-approval, that'll give you a leg up for sure. Someday defect, laughing about the mansion tax for a $1 million house. My house value is around $1.5 million. It's far from a mansion. Even my in-laws' house in Silicon Valley at $4 million, far from a mansion. I know. I get you, someday defect. I understand that. Toms River was a retirement favorite in my family. Lots of the old aunts and uncles moved down there. It was super affordable in the 80s and 90s. I know. Listen, it's in some parts, it is affordable. Like anywhere on the water, obviously it's a lot more, but there's some retirement communities down there that are still selling like between $300 up to $500, which for Jersey, that's cheap. So, yep. I agree with you, Roy. I lived in Delaware for 41 years. Family still lives there. No desire to move back. All right. Okay. Thanks for sharing, Lisa. Stephanie, tariffs are the red elephant sitting in the room with us. I think unknown tariffs are more impactful than the Fed rate. Thank you for sharing. That's a good point too, Stephanie. First-time homebuyer here. Does it make sense to use FHA loan if you plan on putting more than 20% down or 20 down? Is there any other benefit of using FHA loan other than low down payment? If you're putting more than 20% down, it's go conventional because you're going to have that PMI, you know, even though it's, again, I mentioned before in the bill, you can deduct that PMI, but again, it's based on your income. So you talk to a lender to really understand what the, would it be beneficial to go FHA if you're able to deduct that PMI on your taxes. But it typically, if you're putting 20% more down, conventional is the way to go. Tariffs aren't the issue. It's the foreign investors are dumping treasuries. Fed will have to buy more MBS. All right. Mortgage-backed securities. I knew what you're saying there. See, look at that. Some sellers down here in Georgia are putting negotiable in the listing agreement in regard to paying the buyer's agent commission. Yes, Clark. That's what I meant to say. Thank you. Yep. Some sellers in New Jersey are doing that up here too. When I put my condo back on the market, I think I'm going to do the same thing. Maybe. We'll see. Michael. Karma from Mesa, Arizona. Thanks for being here, Michael. Appreciate it. Accident quote a conversation. Okay, cool. What time is it? Oh my God. Okay. So where are we at? Are you guys voting on this thing, on this poll, or what? I'm still at 41% is still like less confident in the market this year. Holy cow. All right. So what else you got, guys? Jen, we went through everybody. Where's everybody? Let me see. All right. Okay. How will BBB affect housing? Well, how is it going to affect housing? Well, they're putting things into place that it will make it more affordable, such as I just mentioned before, with FHA, VA loans. When you have the PMI on those loans, especially when you're putting a low down payment, and you're able to deduct the PMI, the private mortgage insurance, also the other fees that come with the VA loans, USDA loans. Let me go back. This will have, I think, is going to have a very big positive impact. The $750,000 cap on mortgage interest deduction, they made that permanent. The bill makes permanent the mortgage interest deduction cap. So in high cost markets, borrowers can plan around this known limit when purchasing or refinancing. So if you're borrowing $750,000, you can deduct the interest up to that amount. If you're borrowing $750,000. All right. The SALT deduction cap, that's huge for those of us here in the high tax states of Jersey, New York, California. So we can deduct, they increased the cap from $10,000 to $40,000. Yeah. So you can go back and watch the replay. I went over this in the beginning. So all of that is in there. Ariana Ardent, we are closing our first home in San Antonio next week. We got a 5.99% rate, and seller paid for all the closing costs and a new roof. I'm happy with our home. We can actually afford it. Ariana, I'm so happy for you. Love, love, love. How the heck did you get a 5.99% interest rate? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's great. I have not, that's like the lowest I've heard in like a really long time. Is it true once you hit 20% of the total loan amount in FHA, the PMI gets limited? No, only in a conventional loan. FHA, it stays for the life of the loan, the PMI. So, Chris Rounds, is the first time home buyers program, is it a loan or is it a grant? Typically, no, it's a grant. So you typically don't have to pay it back, but you have to check the rules of the state where you're getting that grant from. You have to live in a home for a period of time. Haven't PMI always not applied to VA loans? When I purchased using it, wasn't included in the loan. VA loans don't have that. The VA loans have different funds, additional fees that you have to pay, but not the PMI like FHA does. Glad I caught the show 3 hours early. Have a great week. Thank you, Roy. Appreciate you being here. So good to hear from you again. Luckily my area is still affordable. TM, where are you? That's so affordable. Like, we're inquiring minds. We want to know, where are you from? Oh, Ariana says, hold on, Jen. Where'd you go? Ariana says she bought down the rate. That good for you. Yep, that is possible. Glad you brought this up, Ariana. Yes, if you can buy discount points. You can. And like what Ariana just did, she got a discount point, got her interest rate below 6%. You have to refinance once you hit 20% equity to a conventional loan to remove PMI. Thank you very much for that. Right, Lisa. This does not apply to VA loans. No. How do I feel about buying houses at auctions? If you're doing those online auctions, be careful with those. They get a little hairy because people are bidding, and just you think it's like the starting bid is like what, $10,000. That's not what you're going to pay for the house. The other thing too, a lot of those homes, I would say almost probably all of them, you don't get to go inside the house before you bid on them, like, because sometimes there's people living in it. They don't want you in the house. You can like do a drive-by, and then you're going to go and bid on this house, and good luck with that. Like, can't do inspections. I can't say I don't want people to move here, but it's still a competitive market. Homes go quick. All right. I'll give you that, TM. I will give you that. I'd like to buy a nicer house in the same town, but I'd need to sell my house. I'm on the fence. I also only plan on sticking around this town for another 10 to 12 years. Okay. If you're only planning on sticking around the town for another 10 to 12 years, you want to buy a nicer house. So you're going to, okay. Yeah, well, I guess you could do that. Or if you only stay another 10 years, just stay, like spruce up the house you got now, make some renovations, increase the value a little bit and just stay there. Why do you need a nicer house? Do you need a larger home? Are you outgrowing the home? Because if you're not outgrowing it, if the space is fine, why go through all of that? And just, 10 years later, you're going to go do it again. I don't know. If it was me, I would just stay put and then, just sell that in 10 to 12 years. But that's me. Hey, Clark, people remember FHA doesn't have to be used just for first-time home buyer. You can use it again. Chat with your lender to get more insight about FHA loans. Thank you, Clark. Oh, nicer area. You want to get nicer area. I thought you said nicer home. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. Okay. Okay, Adam, waterfront buyer beware. Check integrity of the bulkhead. New bulkhead replacements are very costly. Thank you for sharing that information. Yeah, so I think we're good, guys. So, all right, just a reminder, please do not forget, I share this every time. We're going to do it again. If you guys need an agent, a referral for a real estate agent in your market, this is the website you go to. There are 2 forms. You're going to fill out, you click here, there's an initial form, then you're going to get an email that's going to take you to another link, which is a questionnaire. It's more detailed questions. I need to have that information in order to find you the right agent. Okay. It's not a scam. People look at this and they're like, ugh, I don't want to do this. If you really need an agent, I need that information because it helps me out a lot and also helps the agent. So because when I give them that information, they'll tell me like, oh, I'll say, is this realistic? Is this price point realistic in your market? Yes, no. And again, I'm able to tell them exactly what you're looking for. So it really helps them out a lot. Also, if you are looking to buy or sell in New Jersey, same thing, same site, but it says you're selling or buying in North Jersey, let our team help. Same process, fill out the forms. I will set up a Zoom consultation with you to talk about your needs here in Northern New Jersey. Again, this is for selling or buying. It's not just for buying. If you need to sell your house, we can absolutely help you. I would be honored to help you. And so yeah, so that's that. That's what we got for that. Oh, we got another question there. Life with a lab and more. Do you see that, Jen? With new Section 8 rules under the new bill, do you recommend keeping a home and listing it with Section 8 rather than selling? I am possibly having to move, but don't want to sell. That's something you got to I would talk to your accountant about that one. I really can't make that recommendation. Section 8, listen, it's a good program because you're pretty much you're guaranteed your rent, you're getting your rent paid every month. But I would talk to your accountant about that one to get, do all the numbers and all the things. Can you talk a bit more about buying down the points and costs? Is it worth it? So Gerardo, it depends. So if you it's like escaping me. My God, my middle-aged brain. You pay a point for 1 point. Oh my God, is it like 1%? I think it's 1% of the total amount of the loan. So say you're borrowing $300,000, you're going to pay $3,000 for 1 point, a discount point to bring your interest rate down. You have to talk to your lender to make sure that it's worth that, because that $3,000, you want to, oh my God, I'm losing my words here tonight. I can't even think straight. You want to make sure that that money, you're not going to be selling the house anytime soon after you buy it, right? You want to be able to recoup that. That's what I'm looking for. You want to be able to recoup that payment of that $3,000 that you paid for that discount point. Your lender will be able to walk you through that and run those numbers and explain to you how that works. Okay. So I hope that made sense. It's getting late. Oh, you're so welcome. Let me see. Do you see the one George Mendoza, Jen? Thank you, Jen. I am from New Jersey and diabetic. I'm under American Health. Can you tell me if I'd be affected by the Big Beautiful Bill program? I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not familiar with American Health. I really don't know. I don't know how that's going to be impacted. What I'm talking about here is just the impact of the bill towards housing. So anyway, all right, you guys, this was fun. Thank you for being nice and keeping it civil. Oh, the poll, here we go. Okay, we had 340 votes. Okay. Are you more confident, less confident in the housing market compared to last year? More confident, 23%. Less confident, 41%. About the same, 27%. I stopped paying attention, 9%. So people are less confident about the housing market compared to last year. So that's unfortunate. But listen, never know. Things could turn around. Things could get better. So everybody just stay positive. Have a wonderful week. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much. And I will be back next week, same time, same channel, and we'll be talking more about all this fun stuff. All right. Everybody have a great week.